budget that was, a recommendation presented to us. It was not, there's not items that we had approved and then gone back and said, we're going to back off of that. So that way, I'm very comfortable going forward. I think right now, if you walk into our city hall, our staff is underfunded, overworked, and if this is something that we can do for them at this time, then by all means, we need to do that, because to keep good staff on is most important for us. You've already seen what we've gone through with our finance office, and we're in competition with, we lost one of our employees to St. Augustine, and it was a much better, basically doing the same thing at a greater rate of pay. We've got to really look at that, and we've got to take care of our own house here to make sure that our employees are taken care of. And I think this is an opportunity for us to be able to do that. We approved this back in, when did we approve this, Michael? So this would be, we could retroact this, correct? Aren't we?
Yes, it could be retroactive.
Back to the approval when we did, we were just waiting to find out what our carry forward was going to be. So I just want to make sure we have that clarified.
Yes, and as a follow-up to Commissioner DeVito, the carry forward includes reoccurring expenses, nothing that's project oriented, because those could easily would have been taken out and funded during that fiscal year.
Yeah.
So these would be funds that weren't spent that would be normally operational reoccurring expenses. So, in addition to that, the $171,000 that we're not recommending at this time, staff is working together to put some recommendations on where we best feel the expenses to go. We would be ready at the April and/or May meeting to bring forward a new ordinance recommending where those dollars would go to. So we're just not there as of this day, but those 171 funds are protected in our account, so they're not going anywhere.
And also, from an audit standpoint, we can't expend, I mean, we already know that, and we've been tapped on for that before, is we can't expend any dollars until we have actually put it in the budget. And so that, if we have to piecemeal it, then so be it, but that's important too, is that we do it, we make sure that we've done it beforehand.
Mayor, I have a question. So I would like to see the list of what we took out of the budget to do the rollback rate, because essentially we did approve that in workshops, and we're moving forward as if that would be our budget. That's how we do our budget. And we were told that that would be provided, so I would like to see what we took out, particularly when staff is going to bring forward expenditures, because that was our last word on that we would try to fund those
It should be in your
things.
backup, because it was I know it was in my backup, so I have it in my paperwork. If not, Steve, if you can please provide that to Michael, to provide to Commissioner DeVito. It's going to be, I believe Charles has that, and it shows, it was even broken out, where we've had to back off of that.
Right, we had,
Yes. And
Right.
so,
so those came out, and as well, it would be helpful to know, we had the staff survey, it would be helpful to know, just in general, in the city manager's report, if we are losing employees, because otherwise we just hear that by chance or whatever it is. And that's the kind of thing that would be helpful to let us know, when people leave, are we leaving people because of low pay or competition? It doesn't get reported. So it's just, some of us know it and some of us don't.
May I say something?
Yeah.
When you're talking employees, their number one concern is how much they're paid. Can they afford to feed their families? Can they afford to, drive back and forth from work? So it's very important to realize that, what they're being paid and the competition out there to grab them. The expense to pay someone to be trained to do some of the jobs that they're doing here is very expensive. It's, you know, it's nice if you're an employer that can say, hey, you know, I know this guy from Crescent City, I know he's been trained, I know he's not making enough money, so I'll just give him some more money and grab him or her. And that's what happens all the time with employers. So we should recognize our employees and give them what they deserve. And we're kind of on the low end as far as what we pay here. So, you know, we can't constantly be, we just shouldn't be there all the time on the low end. We need to pay them what they're worth.
And I would like to see it also that, you know, as we move forward, we all know that we've got a lot of our employees, you know, like Herman, like Dave, that have been here for a long time. They're aging out, they're ready to retire, they're ready to go on and enjoy their retirement. We're gonna have to replace those employees. And I would like it that people are eager, especially here in Crescent City, that they're eager to apply to the city and not us out there. I mean, because we're constantly, you know, hey, listen, we have an opening.
We're always beating the bushes.
You know, please, you know, please apply. I'd like it to be where they're knocking our door down saying, hey, y'all have an opening. I'd like to apply. And so we as an employer, we just have to, you know, I think we have to do better with that, so.
Well, that's why we had this always study. To work
Yep,
with
and
that.
that's why we're giving this increase right now today.
Yep.
So. With that, I have a motion, yeah, that's why we're in discussion. Do we have any further discussion on this? If not, I'm gonna go ahead and open it up for public comment. You would please come forward, state your name and your address. Seeing no one come forward, I'm gonna close public comment. Madam Clerk, if you would do a roll call for us, please.
Commissioner DeVito,
Nay.
Commissioner Lori,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Burton,
Aye.
Mayor Myers.
Aye. Okay, so approved. Thank you all, commissioners. I know our employees will greatly appreciate that, and the building will greatly appreciate that, because this building needs, it does need some work. So with that, so we're gonna close our public, no, we're not gonna close it yet. We're gonna go to a resolution of support. Michael, if you would talk about this, please.
Yes, the title is Resolution of Support Endorsing the Oasis at Crescent Lake Echo Resort and Residence Conceptual Business Development Plan in South Whitman County. Just a little bit of background on this. There's a property owner located about 1.5 miles north of the city's corporate limits along US 17, 57-acre tract of land that abuts Lake Crescent. Their mailing address is Crescent City. They love the community. They've owned that property for a little bit over 15 years. They are looking at future development of that tract in such that would create commercial, eco resort and marine industry type activity. They contacted the city, number one, because we have some utility lines out near the high school, which is right across the street, and we've got a natural gas line. So any type of future development could in fact will affect our particular utility system. Secondly, they reached out to us requesting a letter of resolution of support so that they can work with Whitman County government on the project, the due diligence, the site plan review, so on. They would like to work with the Florida Chamber of Commerce and various state agencies on any permitting, development approval, any types of grants that could be available. So we've drafted this particular resolution of support, looking at the business development plan. This resolution does not recommend necessarily a development approval, any type of permitting activities, other than we think this is a great opportunity for economic development, should it move forward, and we would work through our utilities on any type of permitting activity that a site plan approval through Putnam County would require.
Commissioners? You'll see also in your packet where the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce has endorsed this one, so.
I'll move to support, and endorse the Oasis at Crescent Lake Eco Resort and Resident Conceptual Business Development Plan in South Putnam County.
Thank you. Do I have a second? No one wants to second those?
No,
Okay.
I'm happy to explain why.
And that right now, then that will, die for lack of a second. Motion will die for lack of a second. You want to explain why?
Well, it just, this seems to me pretty premature and, this is a big unknown, and I don't think that we're the ones to step up and take the lead on this, and, we don't know, there could be benefit, but there could also be fallout, and I think it should just go through the process, that way we could learn more about it, and I think the neighbors are the first ones, I just think it's premature.
What's the process you want it to go through?
Right.
So to go through the process, what process? I mean, I'm just asking so that we, for clarification, what process?
It's not in our city limits, as, Mr. Bromart explained, that they have a long ways to go, and I think that we should let them go through the jurisdictions, the agencies and jurisdictions that they need to. Whatever they're going to propose will be a lot more fleshed out, and we would have a lot more information, because it's not in the city.
And my concern is, the resolution does say on here, expanding gas, water, and sewer, which I don't, as far as I'm aware, we do not have water and sewer out there, except to the high school, which already is a stretch as it was. And we don't have the capacity for that. But my other concern is the fact that the property in question is 57 acres. And from my estimation, about 5 of it is upland, the rest of it is swamp. It is entirely, I mean, it's across the street from the high school on Lake Crescent, or Crescent Lake side. It's adjacent to a piece of property the Audubon Society of Florida owns, and right next to a piece of property that Mr. Newell owns. And it's all swamp according to the Water Management District. So I don't know how they would be building 57 acres of amenities on basically 5 acres of buildable property. And there's a lot of questions in here. Also, the fact that they're gonna have floating homes, which are possible, water that is, the property of the people of Florida. You'd have to have a submerged land lease and all kinds of stuff. I just think the whole thing seems like a snake oil, salesman. I mean,
Oh, well, they're not, yeah, but I don't wanna call them that,
Well,
because these are good people, I mean, they're good people, and they're trying to make it, they're trying to make it
They
best.
may be shooting for
Yeah,
something major.
so we understand, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but,
Yeah,
but they have high aspirations, so.
but on the same hand, I mean, it's a way to bring in tourism, it's a way to, bring people, into, and to enjoy our city and hopefully grow our city into certain businesses that would help, generate jobs in this area. And I'm just gonna be frank, they're just asking for us to express our support. Even if they don't get our support, if they wanna move forward, they don't need our support.
Right.
So,
I think we're putting
But
our,
I think being so negative on it, it's not a good way to start.
I'm very in support of job development and
Well,
economic.
Putnam County Chamber of Commerce is very supportive of it, so.
That's
Okay, well, with that, so the motion died, so unfortunately, Mr. Billhart, if you would, share that with them. they did seek this out and ask, but I think they're trying to garner the community support so that as they go forward, you know, I mean, I questioned it too, because having with my background in state government, I know that, you know, you can't put houses out on the water, on submerged, you know, submerged land, but it's not gonna be houses, they're more like their houseboats, they're houseboats, and so,
Right,
so
but Mayor, I just,
anyway, so I think it let them,
They can come and do a presentation to us, but I have no idea.
but,
I'm not comfortable putting the city's name behind something like this.
and Mayor,
that's fine, yes,
I think Commissioner Lori has expressed it very well when I said premature, but I really don't want to put our name on something that is not really realistic, and we have no idea what direction this will go in, and there'll be plenty of opportunity in the future, I'm sure.
okay, let's move on. So we're going to move on to our business items, I'm gonna close out our public hearing. Michael, I'm gonna turn this over to you, the application for appointment to the Historic Preservation Board.
Mr. Frank Dory has presented an application and would like to diligently serve on this particular board, and staff has recommended his nomination.
Would somebody like to hear from Mr. Murray?
Okay.
Go ahead. If you have-
I was just gonna make a motion.
Okay, go ahead, make a motion.
I move that we appoint Frank Murray to the Historic Preservation Board.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We have any other discussion?
Murray here.
Do we want to hear from Mr.
I'm
Murray?
gonna ask Mr. Murray if he would like to come forward. I did a moment ago, and so I'm gonna, Mr. Murray, would you like to say anything?
Just, I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay,
Well, we appreciate you willing to do so,
thank you
because
for
this
your
position has
willingness.
been open for quite a while. So we are very happy to have you interested. Thank you.
So, Madam Clerk, if you do a roll call for us, please.
Commissioner Burton,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Lori,
Aye.
Commissioner DeVito,
Aye.
Mayor Myers.
Aye. Thank you, and thank you for your willingness to serve. See us in about 5 months, 6 months. No, truly, thank you very much, thank you. Need more people that want to step up. Okay, so this is gonna lead us into the, a discussion on the Middleton Bernie Elementary School pending closure, city obligations.
Mr. Correct just left.
Well, did you ask him, did somebody ask him to stay?
No, well, I discussed it with,
Did you prompt him to discuss this?
no, I discussed this with Mr. Brillhart, and the reason that this is on the agenda is because people have been mentioning, and it is very true, it's my understanding that the Middleton Bernie Elementary School is going to be closed, correct? And so, my thought is that, I mean, essentially, zoning and planning are our responsibility, right? And there's an interlocal agreement, there's supposed to be communication between, the city and the school district when a school is going to be closed. And, we do have city obligations, and I was hoping we could hear from Mr. Corrett on the kind of issues that we're gonna be called upon to address. Is there anything that we need to do to plan for this? But he has gone, so.
My understanding is, of course, with the new construction, that's been delayed a little bit. So they won't even open, not this coming September, they'll do it the following September. They're not going to do it in the middle of the school year. It's too much to move in the middle of the school year. So they'll do it over the summer, so we've got plenty of time, and then right now, the school district hasn't said they're ready to let go of that property. So I don't know what their intentions are either, so I think we're kind of putting maybe cart before the horse, and let's wait and hear what the school district has to say, as they get closer, you know.
Sure, well, I'm just by way of bringing it up, we have an interlocal agreement with them that involves all the municipalities and the county government. We're supposed to have regular staff communication, and I don't think this has ever been done in the history of the interlocal agreement since 2013. Actually, the boards are supposed to meet, but at a minimum, it would be helpful if staff would communicate, and I guess, if we could hear from Mr. Carrot, we were not very well prepared for the closure of Miller Middle School, just in terms of knowing what the processes are and what should expect in terms of land use and all that. So at some point, and that's a good update to know, and now people know that Ultra Verde is not going to be closed for the September 25-26 school year. It's still going to be over there. Just wanted to bring to our attention that we should spend a little bit of time covering
Okay.
what that might look like.
So with that, let's go ahead and move on to, ICMA. Before we do that, Mr. Gilbert, if you would just reach out to Mr. Bowling at some point and ask him, so that you can report at the next meeting what your intentions are at this time. Thank you. So we can have an update. Let's go on to the ICMA training councils and council operations. Commissioner DeVito, you asked this to be put on the agenda.
Yes, I did, and hopefully somewhere in your packet, there is a copy of the email that I think we all received from I think ICMA is International City Council Manager Association. Some of us have taken the League of Cities Commission training. I don't think all of us have, and Commissioner Lori and I have both taken the Institute for Elected Municipal Officials 1 and 2, and senior leadership. I have never seen the ICMA advertise this particular program before. But to me, it looks really good. It covers understanding the form of government, the dynamics between elected officials, the chief administrative officer, and local government staff, gaining insights into financial planning and how budgets align with long-term goals, fostering transparency, developing strategies. And apparently you can sign up for this individually, or you can pay, I think, $895 and sign up for it as a commission. And I think, to me, this seems a little more focused and targeted, and then some of the seminars that come kind of piecemeal through the League of Cities. It looks to me like it would be good for all levels, and we would all take the same course, which to me sounds beneficial. And I'm not sure how the mechanics work, but I think it might be really helpful.
Okay, so we can request a demo and explore the course content that's risk free, so maybe that's something that we could do.
Look at the demos.
If y'all look into that.
And by the way, I might need help from Commissioner Lori. I tried to request the demo and I don't think I got it. Maybe if he can't do it, nobody can.
Okay, so, Mr. Gilhart.
Are you a member of ICMA?
Yes.
Oh, so then we can get that just.
I think that's why we got the email. That's
Yeah.
Okay, so let's, thank you for bringing that to our attention for discussion. Okay, let's move on to the Fishers of Men, Florida North Legacy Division. Oh, Mr. Holmes, I'm so sorry. The meeting's over. No, it's not.
Don't be sorry.
No, it's not. Welcome.
Thank you, sorry. I'm sorry.
I failed you, and I so apologize. So, well, you know, I should have called the other mayor down there opening plaque and say, hey, listen, move him up on the agenda.
I literally, my presentation was 10 minutes.
I'm
But-
so sorry.
It's okay.
But thank you for driving all the way down here.
Absolutely.
You have been greatly missed. Okay, so this, Fishers of Men, North Florida Legacy Division, does, Michael? Do you want?
This is for the Fishers of Men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is in your packet, just an informational item about this particular event. It's happening down at the Martin Neal Nelson Park in Boat Ramp, March 22nd.
I think they've done this before,
Yes, ma'am.
and, this is bringing our youth in as well, is that correct? Yeah, to be official.
That was really cool.
So, yeah, this is a really neat, opportunity. So, Commission, I would just share with you that if you have an opportunity, when you're down there on March 22nd, it's always, anytime they're doing a tournament or they're down there fishing, you know, stop in. They really do enjoy the commission stopping in, greeting them and welcoming them, to Crescent City, because they do come to town, they do buy lunch, and they buy dinner, and oftentimes breakfast and snacks and gas. And so, and they're utilizing one of our beautiful parks. So if you get a chance, stop in there and just say, hey, thanks for being here, that would be great. Is that good?
Sounds good.
And with that, we're gonna, go on to discussion of the appointment for the, new fire pension board member.
Yes, Commissioners, this is just information. Mr. William Stout, who's been a member of the board, has resigned. He's moved out of the area. Fire Chief Piper was just wanting to let the commission know that they need to have another appointment to this particular board. And at this point in time, there's not an individual that's being recommended based upon a nomination.
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes.
Does this person need a financial background or a business background?
That helps.
It doesn't hurt.
My father was, so.
But no, they don't have to have, that's not a requirement. It's not a requirement.
But it would be helpful.
It's helpful because
So essentially, I mean, are we being asked to look through
We
the
have an
community?
opening, yes, we have an opening, and so we need an applicant to serve on this. So yes, so if you know of anybody, please ask them to reach out to our clerk. And,
how many people are on that? There's 3?
I think it's small.
I think
it is
it's
small, I wanna say it's 3, Joey is on, I'm sure
Yeah.
he's on this. So I think there's 3 members.
I said Ron West. you should
And
know.
Mr. Stout was a former firefighter, so I mean, he did bring that with to it, and I believe.
When Jason retires, he can be on.
When Jason retired, we'll make him be on it. So,
Just a thought.
okay, thank you.
There you go.
So with that, we're gonna go to our, city manager. Michael, I'm gonna turn it over to
The
you.
first item is an update on the city manager search. The recruitment is for the city to receive applications is next Thursday, March the 20th. Once a week, all the applicants that come into the city are submitted by the clerk to the outside
Senior.
Florida FCCMA Senior Executive Consultants to do what I would call the initial review and vetting. After March 20th, when all the applicants are here, they will be presenting their review and recommendation.
How many have we received?
12.
Oh, okay. It's a good point, yeah.
And some people wait to, okay, thank you. And then a copy of the average monthly cost of City Hall and Annex Building.
Yes, we've gotten both average monthly and for the year. It's in your package, and it shows just what we pay for this particular building and the annex next door. So that'll give you kind of an idea in comparison against other costs at the middle.
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes.
I didn't find that in my packet.
I don't have it.
City manager's report.
It's not in there. Can you just resend that to
It
us?
should be right behind the pension board letter.
No?
No, the next
Right
thing,
after that goes the city manager report.
I can't,
That's
do
it,
this here, I
it's
don't
in
find
there,
it.
but it's not in the city manager report.
Towards the end of your
What did we do for a spreadsheet? I think you sent me an email, because I asked about it, Mr. Bromart.
Yes.
Just before the
But
contract,
that's not in here.
the last item on the agenda.
Well,
Can that just be resent and then individually, and then we would know? Cause I have
it's fine.
a page with the building department, the permit applications, and then IT, and then it goes right into contract or legal services.
I'll be right back.
Okay, well, I mean, I didn't need my now.
Yeah, you can just email us to us.
Okay, you don't need it for now?
Yeah.
No, let's,
Our city manager report is, but this is separate.
yeah, don't worry about it. We have things we need to do, and people are getting tired of sitting there, I'm sure, so we'll get it later.
Okay, so then we're gonna move on to, the discussion on the proposal from the Douglas Law Firm regarding the contract representation of the city specifically for the acquisition of the historic Miller Middle School property.
Charlie.
Thank you so much for your patience.
And you make.
We have this in front of us, I believe we have a revised draft that was given to us, that was at your place. You have it in front of us. Mr. Brillhart, I guess you have been working with Mr. Douglas on this.
Yes, we discussed the opportunity to provide a contract that can be used by the city, and any transfer of ownership between the school district and the city. And so this is that particular draft.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
Has Mr. Holmes looked at it?
I have just a couple of questions, and they aren't intended as being criticism, but I have a couple of questions when it's appropriate.
Okay, I think it's perfect.
So, as Mr. Douglas knows, we attorneys basically work at the direction of someone. And when we're working on an hourly rate, I'm sure Charlie would agree, it helps us and it will help you to know who has the authority to authorize time being spent. Hourly rate of $250 is certainly within reason, very reasonable, not in any way critical of that. But if someone directs him to, or his associate, to spend 10 hours on something, and without some sort of mechanism or procedure by which that, there's some parameters on cap of time or something like that, it's just that everybody could be put into an awkward situation. So I'm just asking, has there been any thought given to either limiting the number of hours per month without, subject to a request for more time to be spent, you know what I'm saying?
I would be agreeable with that.
I'm sorry.
I would be agreeable with that.
So that way if it's gonna go above X, whatever X is, then you know that Mr. Douglas would make a call or something and say, hey, we spent a lot of time this month, we're already at our max, can we keep on going, and how far can we go? That would just be a suggestion for me.
Thank you, because that's one of my hiccups too. I mean, that's a concern that I have. I don't want to call it a hiccup, but that's a
That isn't
major
intended in
concern.
any way to suggest
No, I
that
know
anybody's trying to run up time. I'm just saying that as an
But
attorney,
that could happen.
he's working for a committee, and the committee says, hey, go out and do this job. And that job takes 15 hours to do the job thoroughly. And then the next thing you know, he's got a bill that he's sending to you, and you're saying, wow, we didn't know that was gonna come this month.
Even a phone call, even a phone call from somebody that's outside of, so I think that we do need to have that in there instead of commission.
I don't even know why we're addressing this.
Because we have to have representation if we even have any discussion or go forward at all, or do anything with the school district. We
Well,
have
and
to
I
have
think that
representation.
I would like that to be the first part of the discussion. Because, if he's gonna come in and be here when the BRC committee is meeting, I don't know, what they have in mind. Okay, I'm not exactly sure, and I think that's what you're kind of getting at. He could come in for any apparent reason that you want, and I think the first thing that we have to decide is whether or not we really want to take, and continue looking at this as something that we definitely have to spend time and money to get to school. I mean, does it make sense for the city to purchase the school? Does it? That's my question. And I think we have to make that decision as a commission. And if you look at today's environment, okay, with everything that's going on, with the federal government, the state government, all the different things that, people are cutting out and, FEMA, for example, is up in the air, education's up in the air, grants are up in the air, I just don't, and the other thing, I went and I looked up a few things, I went and I looked up, for example, everybody talks about Seville, has a historic school, as a community center. I think it's great, it's wonderful. But that's run by the Seville Village Improvement Association. It's not run by their city. The Jenkins School in Palaca was never owned by the city of Palaca. Okay, that's owned by the Historic Central Academy Preservation and Community Development Corporation. If you look at the old school in School Square in Delray Beach, it really is run by the Old School Square Center for the Arts. And they continue to partner with public and private entities to promote arts and cultural programming and education. And yes, the city can be a partner, but the city doesn't work well as the owner. One thing that I hear from all of you is that you want to control most of what's going on down there. And you won't control it if the city owns it. Everything you wanna do, you're gonna have to come and ask us. And it doesn't make sense to do that. What makes sense, and you have the perfect plan, you've already said it, it's the perfect way to move into a foundation. Look for public and private monies to form a foundation and move forward that way. And then you can hire Douglas as your lawyer, and just have at it. But it would be back and forth with something that we really can't afford as a city. I don't know why we're even discussing it anymore at this time.
Mayor, can I jump in
Yes.
here? Okay, Commissioner Burton, the examples that you read off, I think you're onto something there. For all of these projects, the conduit was the local government. The local government was the conduit who facilitated all this to happen. And that is usually the way municipal and local government development projects occur. I don't think anyone intends for the city to be the entire manager of the whole thing. But the local government, we are the ones with the planning responsibility and the way these projects usually work. And I've been in communities where I've been very close to some of these projects. The local government takes the lead. They take the lead and act as the coordinator, and then eventually it becomes a different entity.
Well,
But we are the best ones to take the lead, and I think that what we have in mind is not that, I would like to ask Mr. Douglas, not necessarily that he begin work tomorrow, but that we be ready if we have an opportunity. And I know Commissioner Lloyd wants to address this, or he looks like he does. We're a very important link in the chain.
Well, may I say this though before, we have already given the seed money, okay, we've given $123,000 to start that process.
Yeah.
And we haven't quite, it hasn't kind of gone anywhere yet, all right? Now, I'm not gonna say that it won't, but I don't see anybody reaching out, to private and public entities to help support this idea. Other than they're saying, boy, this would be great for the city to step in and buy this property and renovate it. The Boynton Beach, the renovation cost to do that was $250 million. That's a lot of dough,
Yes, it is.
That's gonna take a whole lot more money than what Crescent City has.
Okay, but I think we're a link, we're not there yet, we don't know how much this will cost. The gentleman from REG Architects, I forget his last name, is that Fernandez? Rick Gonzalez, sorry, my neighbor was Fernandez. This is a time-consuming process. We're just not there yet, and you just have to put one foot in front of the other. And when the fact finding is done, I mean, maybe we should have Mr. Purcell come and talk to us. It really is a lengthy process.
So, okay,
Let me just say one other thing.
yes,
You know, I watched the BRC meeting, the day after our last, meeting. And when I watched that meeting, it was an hour long, and basically nothing was really done during the meeting, except, some very disrespectful comments about the commission and commissioners at this bench, you know, that sit here. All right, so there's an hour's worth of wasted time, as far as I was concerned, just to kind of talk about what a bad job we do up here. So I thought, well, I'll go to the next BRC meeting and see how that goes. And of course I went, I just wanted to see if anything had changed. Well, that meeting was a lot quicker, it was about 15 minutes. But the thing that I kind of noticed right out of the chute was they came together, they sat down, the meeting started, and the very first thing that happened was our clerk was reprimanded for not having the minutes. And it was done in a somewhat, not a very nice tone. So that's all fine and dandy, but that's the other place where we have given money and time and effort to help this committee move forward. And I just don't see it, I mean, they've moved forward and they've put a plan together, but I think the plan needs, they need to take it out of the city right now and work on it as a foundation. I really would like to see something formed in a foundation type mode. Whether it's a foundation or whatever, but every 2 weeks to come in and really not get too much done, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Are you done?
Commissioner Laurie?
First of all, the school board cannot give property to a foundation or nonprofit, especially Putnam County. They've had some instances in the past with something like that, and gotten in trouble with the Inspector General, had all kinds of stuff go on. They're very careful about this, and in our local agreement we have, they can transfer property to other governments. That's us. We are the one that wants to do this. It's in our city. It's the one that we're gonna benefit the most from it. And to say that the BRC hasn't done a ton of work for volunteering, I think is.
No, I think
I
that
don't
you've done a
agree.
lot of work, I'm not saying that you
They've
have
done quite a bit of
not.
work, and we've got a lot more work to do. But we can't go anywhere if we don't have, if there's no legal representation for the city. Because no one can talk to the school district. Mr. Holmes is conflicted out. So if we're gonna have any hope of doing anything further, there needs to be legal representation that can go forward. And I don't think that Charlie or Lisa need to be at the BRC meetings. All of this can be done through Mr. Brohart. But there needs to be a conduit and someone that we can go forward with. We've not allowed the BRC to do any talks with anybody. We've information gathered, and the next step is to have someone that can talk to the school district and start the negotiations so that we can move forward. But there's nothing can happen without a lawyer.
I'm gonna speak up for just a minute. I see it on all sides. Commissioner Burton is absolutely right in the current climate that we're in right now. We should all be very cautious. We don't know where we're going to be. I myself, from a city standpoint, am concerned of the impacts that could take place based on the legislature. I'm also looking at from the federal government, the legislature, we're looking at the ad valorem, and again, I said this the last time, and I'll say it again, it's no skin off their back to pass that through because it goes to the people. And that's $100,000 across the board that, and so we're gonna have to, and that's gonna happen sooner than later. And so we don't know what's gonna happen with that. Grants, we know for right now at least, especially some of these federal grants, that we rely on. Small municipalities across the state, across the nation rely on those small grants. Those grants are definitely in jeopardy, and right now they're being held up. There's just a climate of not knowing, uncertainty. And so as we go forward, we have, no matter what we do, we've got to proceed, I feel, cautiously. That said, I also know that if we're going to do anything, if we're going to be a part of the partnership, whatever the recommendation is, the BRC did not bring us a plan with no finances. And that's something that I think that you still have to work out. I would encourage you to also talk to partners, people that would reach out and be part of the vision that you have over there. They did that in Seville. They did that, and they did have to pay for that. I think they paid $95,000 for that. Two of the women that are the head of that board I graduated with and are dear friends of mine. You have to do that, but I do know, so where I sit today is, I also know that if we end up having to be at the table, we are gonna have to have representation. And so that's why, I think that we at least need to enter into, some sort of an agreement so that we have secured representation. But I'm very cautious about that as well, because, I think, Mr. Holmes, you made a very good point. You came in right at the right time, thank you. That who gives that direction, because that bill can add up fast, and we don't have it budgeted. And so that's my next question is, where are we looking for this to come out of? What are we looking for this to come out of, and how much are we willing to put up for that? And so
My second point on this was, and again, none of this is intended as a criticism of Mr. Douglas or his firm. He would be taking direction, just like I would be. If a client hires me and says, I want you to do something, then personally, I always explore the idea of how much he's willing to pay, how much he's willing to allocate to it, so that I can understand how far I can go down the rabbit hole, if that's where it takes me. And in your case, I think it's important that you have, as Commissioner Laurie said, he didn't think that the attorney needed to be at every meeting. But those are the uncertainties in a contract like this, because who makes that decision? Who makes a decision about whether to have the attorney there each meeting? Who makes a decision about whether the attorney's supposed to research something or do title exam or whatever? So that was why I said I think it's important that you decide, and it's not for me to decide, how that process is going to work. And then the second thing that I have a question about is the 90-day termination clause. Why 3 months? In other words, if you guys get into this thing a little ways and you say, we don't have the money to keep funding this process, then according to this, you got 3 months during which you can't terminate, and you're going to keep getting bills, depending upon, again, who's authorizing the work. And that, I think that probably is also something that you should consider. Now, if you're good with that, then so be it. It's not coming out of my check.
but that could be problematic,
And that's why we can strike that clause. The reason it was in there is to really protect the client, so that you're not left hanging with an abrupt departure of your lawyer. But we can strike it, and we're here to serve at the will of the commission. And if you don't want us anymore, you don't have to wait 90 days to tell us.
And that's, I think, thank you, and thank you for your willingness, you know,
I'm glad I.
Yeah. we thank you for your willingness. I think commission, as we go forward with this, if we go to approve this, there needs to be some parameters. And I think right now it's premature, and, I mean, it's not maybe premature in us agreeing to the contract. I think it's premature in us, engaging in hourly $250 an hour without us having direction and knowing where we're gonna fund it. And so, so we have some options, yes.
If I could, I was looking at our statement of revenue and expenditures. We have a line item there, and I think, have we spent it?
It's the other professional other legal
No.
services.
Outside, it's outside legal, and we've spent 175, I don't know what we spent that on.
That was my attorney.
Oh, that was are we still spending money, or is that lawsuit?
Still,
It's still there,
it's
it's
still
still
in
in the
the
appellate
court,
court.
yeah, so.
It's on
The lawsuit's in the appellate court. Well, so we have a balance of $2,825 in outside legal. My thought was, and thank you, Mayor, for feeling that we should be prepared. I think we should set a cap, and to me, it would help to have a recommendation from Mr. Douglas on what he thinks, the time that he thinks that we should allocate if we needed him to be our, communicator or negotiator with the school district. What would he recommend that we allocate in terms of time?
I would anticipate that different months are gonna take different amounts of time, but I'm certainly agreeable with Mr. Holmes' recommendation that if in any given month, there is a need for more than X number of hours, call it 10 hours, that it would require additional approval from the commission to go over on that particular month.
Can I just say one more thing? It's been bothering me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something's bothering me.
Okay, something's been bothering me for a while. You know, we did some work, a while back on the New Moon Lodge. We got the REG, we got a whole lot of stuff going there. And it's like we dropped that like a hot potato. We haven't heard or
No,
done or
that's not true.
seen too much going on.
That's not true. We're
Let's
currently
go
waiting
back.
for the small matching grant, which we applied for, in order to get the $10,000 to match, or the $50,000 to get the construction plans done. So it is in process. And
Okay,
Charles Ruggie, I
but you know,
filled out the
one thing I like, I don't hear them come in every meeting and pound the table, so I do appreciate that. But it would be nice to have an update, you know, as to where some of that is.
But, well, I mean, I agree, and I was gonna ask about it tonight. I'm not, the State Division of Historic Resources can only spend money allocated by the legislature, and there's different cycles, and I'm still not clear. Will that, if we get the grant, and I mean, I don't know where we are, but it's very much on my mind, because that building needs attention.
Yeah,
Yeah, it needs to
Mr. Brohart attended the webinar that did the scoring, correct? And so we are just waiting now for them to rank it, and then it goes to the legislature, which is, as you know, meeting right now.
Right,
So it
so,
would be July, what's that?
I said yes, it's meeting right now.
Right.
okay, so,
So it is in the process of getting the money to get the construction plans done by RG.
okay, but hang on, so we've, they don't have the ranking yet. So the way this works, when the ranking comes out, you will know how much money the legislature would have to put in to that particular budget line for you to be funded. So it would behoove us to keep up with that information and to communicate with our House and Senate, legislators. I mean, Commissioner Burke, thank you very much, because it is vitally important that we do everything we can to make sure that that gets funded if we score anywhere in the ballpark.
Yes, thank you. And Mr. Billhart, you'll keep us informed, okay? With that, I'm gonna go back to the contract, which is before
Sorry
us.
about that.
So let me ask you a question. It looks like you're assigning attorney Lisa Miles to this.
By responsible attorney, we mean that she would be the one to field any day-to-day phone calls. I still very much want to be involved in this as my partner, Mr. Jeremiah Blocker, who has a great deal of experience in real estate law, as an LLM in real estate. So that will be the team.
Okay. Does she have real estate experience?
Yes, ma'am.
She has real estate law experience?
Yes, ma'am.
That's just very important that whoever our key person is, has that, so that it's not a learning curve for them either.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, commissioners, you have an option, I mean, we have an option here, we can go ahead and enter into the agreements. I believe it's my recommendation that the commission is the one that would direct any services. And we would direct it through Michael Brillhart, and that's my recommendation. And that we direct it through Michael Brillhart, and then Michael Brillhart, our city manager, that, might be that we direct it to our city manager, and the city manager deals directly with, the law firm. We ran into this as an issue before with Holmes and Young and had to bring it to our attention because various people were calling and using up, every time there's a phone call, that cost us. And so we were going outside of our 20-hour limit. So I think with this, that way it can better control that. It would better control that. So that's my recommendation, with this, with the law firm. But I do believe that should there be whatever solution, if there's a foundation, that comes together and we're supposed to be part of that, that we have to have representation. We just know we have to have representation. But I don't think we're at that point right now to enter into any type of negotiations yet with the school district, because we, the commission, are still waiting to hear, a plan and the financials. And I know that's what the Blue Ribbon Committee is supposed to be working on. So.
I am fine with this contract. I mean, are you saying if we approve it, then we will hold it, at the ready until such time as we need it? Because I do think it's a good idea to be prepared. Commission time is scarce. You may as well, we have a very good law firm, ready, willing, and able to help us. So if, and I guess this would be subject to, an agreement of, and the second step, do I understand you correctly, Mayor, would be an agreement by the commission, when we ask for help to set, a cap,
Yes,
an initial cap.
yes.
But,
We're not there yet.
right, so the way to go forward would just be to approve the contract without a specific request for work.
Yes. Do we need to be specific in there, as far as who's gonna give the direction? Who you would be taking your direction from?
It would be fine and reasonable to interface mostly with the city manager. That's to be expected. And whenever the city manager determines that the appropriate time is here for us to begin, then we will be at the ready.
Okay.
It doesn't have to happen tomorrow. It could be next week or 2 weeks from now, whenever the city manager calls us
Okay.
for any initial tasks.
Make sure it's in there,
Yeah, we need to, just make sure that language is in there.
because if it's not,
And you might wanna put that in your, in the motion. If somebody, whoever's gonna make the motion, if we're gonna get a motion, please include some language to that effect,
And the 10-hour cap.
and the 10-hour cap.
Okay, well, I'm gonna try to make a motion, so,
And the removal of the 90-day clause.
And then removal of the 90-day clause.
In the addition of the city manager.
okay. So, I'm not sure. I move that we approve a contract, for legal services with Douglas Law Firm, that is before us. with the following changes, that the 90-day termination clause be removed, and that, the law firm will work, at the direction of the city manager, who will take his or her direction from the commission, and that there be an initial 10-hour cap period, and that this contract be held, that no work be performed until directed by the commission and the city manager.
Second. There you go.
Can I make a suggestion then?
Yes, yes, sir.
So I think when we talk about removing the 90-day clause, Mr. Douglas, and I believe I would understand that to mean that you would have a termination that could be made on less than 90 days. Obviously, it all should, and you can listen to what I'm saying, and if you will, just incorporate it, but he should be paid for any work that he's done. So it would not be appropriate for someone to come up and terminate the contract and he's left holding the bag for 10 hours. But, see what I'm saying? So
For
right
services
now,
rendered, he would be paid for
he would be
services
paid
already
for any
rendered.
time that he's expended up to the point of termination, but it could be terminated upon notice. And if you want to say reasonable notice or 10 days notice or 5 days notice or whatever, if you just take the 90 days out, then that means you can't terminate it. Except by mutual agreement, because the only termination clause in the contract is in paragraph 6, it says it's effective March 13th, it's to remain in effect until completion of the project, unless modified or terminated by agreement of the parties. Well, agreement means that both sides have to agree to terminate it. So, and I don't think that's in any way what he intended was to, as he already indicated, he's not trying to rope anybody into an agreement. So 9 says it can be canceled and terminated by either party upon the providing of 90 days notice in writing. So you say, I just eliminate that, then you're saying you don't have a termination clause. So I'm saying that instead of 90, make it 10 or 30, whatever you want to. But he's paid for whatever time that he has invested as of the time of termination. Or he receives notice of termination. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, do you want to amend your,
Well, I just, I have a
Sure.
question. And maybe I'm just being too, logical on this, but you say that there's a cap of 10 hours. It almost made it sound like that's all you get, is 10 hours.
10 hours a month is the
Is that what
contemplation.
it says?
And
Okay.
anything over that requires,
Okay, so
approval.
that, I didn't hear.
right? Is that what you intended?
That was the intent.
Okay, I didn't hear a month.
But I think, it would-
Yeah.
It was 10 hours, that's it. And
And,
that's,
and I guess part of that is because we kind of deal in that world. So when we kind of understand that was like a 10-hour allowance per month, and if he needs more, he comes back and asks for it. That's what I understood it to mean. Maybe I'm assuming something.
that's what I.
Yeah.
We should also.
okay, Commissioner DeVito, can you amend your?
Well, I guess amend my motion, instead of just saying remove the 90 days notice, that paragraph 9 read may be canceled and terminated by either party upon the providing of, I would say 15 days notice. And do we need to say that he'll be paid for his work done? I mean,
At the time of termination, services rendered to that date would be paid in full,
isn't that kind of understood?
not necessarily. Whatever.
It's a common term. It's common to put a clause in there in termination clauses that state that the provider of the services will be paid for services rendered through date of termination. Don't you agree?
Right, and that we should include the language
Yes,
just
ma'am.
provided by Mr. Holmes in paragraph 9. So, do you accept that?
I will second that.
Okay, so we have a proper motion and a second. Do we have any other comments, commissioners? Okay, do we have, I'm gonna ask, I know we've got people in the
Could
city,
you
do
pull
we have
your
any
mic
public
down?
comment? Do we have
Put
any
your
public,
mic down so I can hear you better.
public comment? Do you have any public comment? Does anybody have any public comment? If you do, please come forward at this time. Okay, everybody's good? Mr. Douglas, you're comfortable with this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Commissioner Rowe. Okay. Madam Clerk, if you would do
Commissioner DeVito,
a roll call.
Aye.
Commissioner Lori,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Burton,
I,
Mayor Myers.
Aye. Okay, so approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you for sitting here.
So with that, we're going to move on to our, city manager's report. If there's anything the city manager, I'm sorry, let's go to our, attorney. Do we have any?
Other than to again apologize for my delay, it was unavoidable. I had a matter that had been pending for about a year that had to be heard by the city commission, and in Palaca wasn't a very long presentation, but they scheduled their land use matters at the end of their meeting, or toward the end of it.
So you know how Mr. Douglas feels tonight. We put him, he was at the end of the meeting, yeah.
I've probably been to that rodeo more than once.
I'm sure you have. I would have thought you would have had some pull up there, quite honestly.
Well,
Okay, so I'm gonna close that out. You have nothing more to report to us at this time?
No, ma'am. not that you have questions.
Mr. Billhart, do you have anything more?
Nothing in my report is fairly detailed.
Okay, you have any questions on the report?
Well, I kind of do.
Well, it's,
Okay, I'm going for it.
give them an
So,
opportunity, yeah.
okay, well, and
Brief, so we.
I had asked Mr. Billhart about this. If you look at the city manager's report, there's actually 2 directors who have requested, to either, the gas department is requesting, that he be on the agenda and have, FGU present about potentially increasing rates. And then apparently the fire chief is requesting a workshop, for him to give us an update on where the fire department is and where it's going. And, then also, at some point, I think we should schedule some time for some finance, but those are 2 directors who are asking to come before the commission. So should we tend to that? And as well, if we have the March 20 date, for the, deadline on receiving resumes, do we need to start looking ahead at our calendar for when we're going to meet? Yeah,
Or when we need to, yeah.
The senior advisors are-
Yeah, we have to find out when the senior advisors are gonna be. So we'll reach out to the senior advisors and get from them, some dates.
That worked out well last time, I think they've had,
Yeah, so we'll work with the senior advisors and get some dates from them as to when they are gonna be ready. They think they'll be ready to come in and to, report to us. So,
but just if the, Mr. Braun, are you saying, should we do that right now? Do you want to, I mean, are you talking about the directors who want to have time with the commission?
Yeah, I can ask them and we'll get back to the clerk to let you know on what the recommended timeframe is and whatever data they have of that to be able to present to you.
Because Mayor, as you've raised, what is this? Okay, what are we doing with this?
Yeah, that's,
Mr. Brillhart.
just some information in regards to, in regards to my position here with the city.
just some information.
I've accepted a position, with a full-time municipality and, wanted to say thank you for this commission for hiring me. It's been a joy and honor and a privilege to have worked with you. Some great people here, some great projects, programs, operations and activities. Some really great things that are going to be happening here and have been excited to have worked with you all. My last day will be on the 31st and you've got phenomenal staff here and of course I'm going to be recommending that in the interim between now and the hiring of the city manager that you would appoint the assistant city manager to serve as the interim city manager.
Okay, well, congratulations.
Yes.
Can we ask what city?
Thank you.
Where you go?
Apalachicola.
Oh, wow. Way up there.
Very nice.
Having lived up in that area,
I do.
You're in good shape.
so having lived up in that area, it really is
Congratulations.
a neat area. It
Check out
really
the
is.
hole in the wall oyster bar.
I think
So we need
Okay.
Recommendation.
So, I don't want us to forget about the workshops and our schedule, but I guess, we need a motion to appoint Christine Marie as our interim city manager, effective, April 1st, and it's not a joke.
No, it's not a joke, it's not, no.
Right,
April
so,
1st is not.
I move that we accept the recommendation of our interim manager to appoint Christina Marie as our new interim city manager as of April 1st,
that
2025.
April 1st is a Tuesday.
I'll second it.
He said his last day is the 31st.
Are you gonna be here that Monday?
Probably, we'll finalize some reporting, so let's do the 30, if you don't mind,
Okay.
the first would be perfect.
All right, so as of
We're gonna
March
give him some
31st.
moving time, let's allow him some
Yeah,
moving time.
It's not good form to appoint her on April Fool's Day.
Yeah, let's allow Christina some moving time as well, so that allows everybody the weekend to get their moving done. So,
So,
do I have a second?
I seconded it.
Okay, you have a second? Okay. Do we have any further discussion?
Because I assume she accepts, she's
I
not.
know Christina, is this? Yes. Thank you. You've done an outstanding job as our, you stepped in and you took the ball and you ran with it, and we greatly appreciate all that you've done.
got up to speed really fast.
You really have, and so,
Continue to, put my best foot forward.
And now you have an office over here. See?
We have not clarified her, I'm assuming she will keep her status as a, that this is a temporary appointment,
Yes.
and she will,
interim,
right, but she will keep her status as a permanent city employee as opposed to Mr. Brohart was
oh,
a
yes,
contract
Oh, yeah.
employee.
yes.
Um,
Much like Jonathan did in Blunt, I think, when he stepped into the position after you, so, yeah.
okay, so we're good on that.
Okay,
Congratulations. I guess.
Madam Clerk, if you would do a roll call, please.
Commissioner DeVito,
I,
Commissioner Lori,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Burton,
aye,
Mayor Myers.
Absolutely, aye. Thank you.
congratulations.
And Mr. Grillhart, I just want to say to you that, I don't like you very much right now. And I have really come to truly appreciate you and everything that you have done for the city and moving it forward. And I can't say that enough. I can't sing your praises enough. I tried, I did begging. I even tried to bribe him a little bit, and that didn't help either. But you have, you stepped in and you carried us forward, and you did it with such a great attitude. And for that, I think we will always be indebted to you and thank you. And I understand you going there, and also understand it being in the FRS and how important that is. Some of us have been in the FRS, and so we understand that, we just thank you and just wish you just nothing but continued success, and we know that wherever you are, that you're going to.
Thank you. And if you all want to drive up there, I'll buy you oysters.
They don't, we do go up there from time to time, because we have some of your friends that we have to pass right by there.
I just wanna say something, I met, Michael in it was like a quick minute. It was during which hurricane was it?
It was, he came in right after the first hurricane. He drove in literally.
Pretty much. And he didn't have a place to stay, and all of a sudden, Michelle was on my doorstep, because she knows that we have a mother-in-law, I guess, Tracy's mom's house, as we call it, that was empty, she hadn't been down here yet. Is it possible, she says, for him to stay here, and it's like, yeah, So we let him get in there, and immediately we had a hurricane, and he had no power. He lived in a cave for how many days? About 3 days, I guess.
He had to run around town with me in a
Yes.
golf cart that was really slow.
So right there, he conquered my admiration for him right then and there. And I was thinking to myself, he's kind of a quirky little guy. And I was thinking, his quirkiness really fits for this city. It really does, and he's doing a great job. Don't you give me those eyebrows. I've seen those before.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yes, he stepped in, and I'll tell you, he was boots on the ground right away. He just drove through it to get here. And, I will ask though, that as you're gonna have some takeaways that can help us. Your experience, your knowledge.
Yeah, yep.
You've forgotten more than most people know. And so if you would, before you leave, if you would just take that time and just give us some foresight for the city and some recommendations and some of the things that you see that, we could do better, that we, that can help lead us into the future.
Take it with you and mail it back.
Yeah, take it with you and mail it back. Yeah, it's probably best to mail it back. But this really will be our last, well, it might not be our last meeting with them because we're gonna have I think, some workshops. But this really is our last commission meeting, and so.
Everything that I've been doing, though, I've been keeping Christina involved in, so she's gonna run with the ball, and I'm gonna miss a beat.
Well, thank you for that, and, Mayor, I just want to make sure, and, Mr. Roller, wish you very well, much happiness in Apalachicola.
But
Thank
she's
you
got
for-
some more things that she needs you to do
Yeah.
before you leave.
Well, number one, as, Mr. Rudd did, he left, I think, a very detailed memo with things that were in progress, that seemed to be very helpful. And I just want to make sure that we don't forget about scheduling workshops requested, particularly in light of the mayor has said, there's so much financial uncertainty out there. And also in the city manager's report, the fire chiefs indicated the issue of the fire engine needing to be replaced. So I don't want us to forget, Commission and Mr. Rohr, about scheduling with the two directors.
I move that we adjourn. I'm sorry, second.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so adjourned. Commissioners, make sure that as you go out, if you have a chance to talk to your legislators, just make sure you talk to them about the things that are gonna impact us.
Yes. I'm making a little.
And the price of fire engines lately.
No, I know